How's it going, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. If you're like, wait, who's that? It's me. It's Cody leading the show today. George is here, but if you look at the top of the screen, it says previously recorded because he is right now chilling with the sand in his toes on the beach, trying not to get sunburnt. George,
I'm failing.
at the beach right now, and tell me how you're doing.
I'm doing fantastic. I am most likely sunburnt, but I'm also searching for my boxing gloves because I'm ready for a good one today.
Yes, if you don't know it, if you're curious what that means, if you didn't get the hint from the show description title, we are going to talk quarterbacks, have a quarterback debate. It's always a hot topic. Which is the best? Which should be the guy to lead your team? We're going to break it down, have some fun rules. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before we get into that, make sure you follow us at the Couch GMs on Facebook, X, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We love you over there, especially TikTok has been doing great over the last couple weeks, so make sure you're over there. As always, feel free to DM us. And I feel like this week you might have some comments or thoughts, and we would have loved to do this one live. So make sure you hit us up with some comments, and we will be back the following week, 6:30 live. George, are you ready to enter the ring and get into this debate?
Yeah. Do you have the bell ready?
I should have had a bell. I should have had more prepared. I should have had a bumper. We don't have that. I don't have that for you, but I do have an interesting topic, an interesting debate. So this is how it's going to work. We're going to go 1 to 32. Actually, we're going to go 32 to 1. We're going to make you wait for the top guy.
You're doing well.
We're going to make you wait for the top guy, and we are going to rank the quarterbacks as in who is the best right now to lead us to the Super Bowl. So keep in the back of your mind, this is not contract. This is not age in the sense of length of how long they're going to play it. We are talking about this year, and this is not on any specific team, but think that it's a balanced team, a solid team, a team that's on the precipice, but they just need that quarterback to get them over the hump and bring home that Lombardi trophy. How do the quarterbacks rank, and how do we do that? We're going to go in some sections of 5 to get us kicked off. Then we'll break it down as we get near that top 15. Any questions, anything I missed?
No, I think you got it. And obviously, we'll keep reminding you of our rules as we go through, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that in our debates of like, that's why this guy's better than that guy and such. So,
yeah. And this is actual, like, this is physicality, arm strength, accuracy, turnover adverse, leadership. This isn't most fantasy points. This isn't best system quarterback. This is just the attributes of being a quarterback. How well do you throw the ball? How well do you not turn it over? That's how we're going to do. We're going to start with 3 because as of right now, we're slated, and we did pick starters for all this situation, including one interesting name. Hint, hint, make sure you stick along and figure out who that is. But we have 3 first-year starters assumed in this exercise, 2 rookies and a basic redshirt rookie. So for me, 32 to 30 would be Tyler Show of the New Orleans Saints. I expect him to start after the Derek Carr retirement news, which, if you didn't hear, Derek Carr is medically retiring because of his generating shoulder, which sucks. They drafted Tyler in the 2nd round. I have him as my lowest rated guy. Then I have JJ McCarthy. Then I have Cam Ward. George, you have a little bit different.
Yeah, not too much. I do have Show still in the bottom spot. I put Cam Ward at 31 and JJ McCarthy at 30. Literally all that is in my mind is giving McCarthy the edge over Ward because he had a year in the system in the sense of like being able to study the playbook, sit behind other quarterbacks, get familiar. But I still have the 3 first-year starters at the bottom because I wouldn't feel confident making a Super Bowl run with the first-year starter.
No, completely agree. And the reason I have Ward over McCarthy is because in this exercise, it's not Titans versus Vikings. It's quarterback versus quarterback. And I think McCarthy has some, leadership ability, has some of the, what it takes. But I like the intangibles. I like the arm strength more of Cam Ward. So that's why of the first-year starters, he gets the nod for me.
Makes sense. I mean, part of it is that brain of like understanding how an NFL offense works, but there's a lot of intangibles as well. And I guess in the point of we don't know how McCarthy's going to react physically coming off of the injury too. But still, at 31 and 30, I'm not really too worried about splitting hairs on this one with you.
All right, so let's move up. We're going to reveal the next 5. So we'll go 29 to 25. Do you want me to go all of mine, or do you want it to be like 29? I'll say mine, say yours, then go, and then we'll go back and debate.
We'll go spot by spot.
All right, so at 29, I have Kenny Pickett.
And I have Anthony Richardson.
Then at 28, I have Daniel Jones as the starter week 1 for the Indianapolis Colts.
Funny how it's two different quarterbacks, and it does not make much of a difference on either of our rankings. I have Kenny Pickett at 28, so I'm pretty much with you on that one.
So basically, we flip there. 27, yep. I have Michael Penix.
And I also have Michael Penix.
And at 26, I have Justin Fields.
And I have Russell Wilson.
Then at 25, I have Russell Wilson.
And I have Justin Fields. So you and I are very much in lockstep in this. Just kind of a couple people flipped. I feel like the biggest one, maybe I'm not even going to debate with you on, but we might have to like explain why both of us thought this, is putting Michael Penix at 27, because there's a lot of hype out of Michael Penix right now. But the fact that the man started 3 games is what makes me not super comfortable with him making a run for my, imaginary team here.
No, I completely agree with that. That's why I have him down at 27. I think he can be good. But in this exercise, I get to pick whichever quarterback I want, and that's where he's going to be at. He has the limited starting experience that we talked about. He also doesn't have the strongest arm, and I'm a big intangibles guy, and that will be unveiled as this goes on and on. I like intangibles, arm strength, athleticism, accuracy, all that, which Penix has accuracy. He throws a really nice ball. But this whole group, 25 to 29, unintentionally just happens to be the reclamation projects, or not quite a first-year starter, but almost a first-year starter in Michael Penix. And the rest are guys that have – Kenny Pickett's the same way. He spot started. He won a game last year. I wouldn't count on him to win 17, go 14 in the regular season and 3 in the playoffs. That's not where I have him. So that's where I'm at with these guys. But I think we're in lockstep with this.
Definitely. And I mean, people might even argue, like, why do you guys have Fields and Wilson over Penix or whatever? But like, Wilson has deteriorated a lot. I think the end of last season and seeing how quickly he broke down, and obviously he missed a few weeks of injury as well, really puts Russell Wilson down here compared to some of the other veteran quarterbacks. And then Fields, the reclamation project, we don't know what we would get out of Fields.
Yeah, they're interesting. I mean, honestly, I like that you hindsight at this. I like that you put Fields ahead of Wilson, because in 2024, some might argue that Fields played better than Wilson with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now they're both on different teams, and we're not taking teams into account, but that's interesting. I kept Wilson just because he's done it. He has the experience, that intangible of, been there, done that, was why he got a slight edge for me. And then the other last thing on Michael Penix is, not that we're looking too much into college, but he has a long history of being injured. So health does play into a fact of that as well. So that's something that we're going to keep in mind as we move on. Are you ready to do 24 to 20?
I am.
Okay. So hindsight, and we did not plan this. We are seeing each other's list basically for the first time. We're identical, 24 to 20.
We are.
So 24 is Sam Darnold. 23 is Geno Smith. 22 is Bryce Young. 21 is Drake May. And then 20 is Trevor Lawrence. And heck, I'll throw 19 in there because that's the same as well with Tua Tagovailoa. So that's the next group that we are consistent on. And I know for me, I kind of, group these guys out as that, because I started as a tier-based system, and then I ranked within.
Cody, you cut out there for a second. There you are.
I saw Cameron Mike unclose, but as I was saying, as I broke these down in a tier, I was like, oh wait, these are kind of the guys that have gotten their second chance, so to speak, their bounce back, whether that's with the same team like Bryce Young, Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith. They're basically swapping teams, but they are guys that had rough early goings and now have bounced back. Then you have the young gun and Drake May, who had a pretty good rookie season, but has, question marks. I really like his intangibles, and you could talk me into being higher. And then Trevor Lawrence, another guy with high intangibles, but coming back off an injury. Hindsight, I might switch May and move him up to 19 and jump down Tua and Lawrence, but I'm going to keep it the way it is for now.
Yeah, no, I liked having Tua and Lawrence up there a little bit more for experience. I think Tua has shown more in his career than Lawrence has. The biggest thing with Tua is obviously injuries. I think if you take concussions and is he going to be there for me by the end of my imaginary season? Tua would be higher because he's shown a big difference between when he's on the field versus other players in his position. So I think there's something to be said there. But I honestly have injury concerns with him holding up. And then Lawrence has all the intangibles you could ask for coming out of college, and it just hasn't translated into success in the NFL. Obviously, there's still some experience. There's still something here that puts him above 11 other quarterbacks on my list, but I'm not confident enough with what he has on his report card to move him higher than that.
Yeah, voice crack. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So you ready to finish out the top, or the bottom 17 and get us to number 15?
Yes.
All right. So at 18, I have Brock Purdy.
And I have Kyler Murray. Sorry, I cut you off.
Nope, you're good. At 17, I have Kyler Murray.
And I have Dak Prescott.
Interesting. 16, I have Caleb Williams.
And the imaginary guy that Cody had referenced, I have Aaron Rodgers here,
which I'm sure we'll talk about. Yep. And then at 15, I have Bo Nix.
And I have Brock Purdy up here.
All right. So real quick, just for my mindset here, Brock Purdy, very much a system quarterback, has done some nice things. He's a system quarterback in the sense that like he can still make a throw here and there, but he does, he'll run outside the pocket, but he thrives best in the system. But it's that shoulder. That's why he's just one tier above Tua. The injury concern does the shoulder elbow hold up. For me, Kyler Murray is the complete opposite. He's the video game player, the X factor. He can make any throw, make any play, but does have some interesting situations that you're like, bro, what was that? Caleb Williams, rookie, started to, have his moments, but not the best. Also, interesting article came about him potentially. I don't know if you saw that. This happened right before we were going to go record. He debated about trying to not play for Chicago. He didn't, because he told his dad, like, that's where quarterbacks go to die. So that came out. I
can't say I blame him.
Which he's not, but he's in Chicago. But again, I mentioned this. I'm a big intangibles guy. And then Bo Nix, he had the best rookie season. The way he carried the Broncos, he would be at the very end of the top. He'd be at 15 for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the biggest differences in our groups here, I said Dak in this group. You obviously have not said Dak yet, so we're going to have to see how much higher you have him than me. I think the lack of playoff success and that lack of that clutch trait that you've seen out of Dak so far is why I put him lower. And then we're putting on the flip side, like you have Purdy down at 18, I have Purdy at 15. I was thinking the opposite in that case. As much as like I also believe Purdy's a system quarterback, number one, he's controlled the locker room pretty well. Players seem to like him. He seems to make people better around him just from that, despite not being the most physically gifted quarterback. And he's had some success in the postseason, which is why I put him higher. Also, I'm looking at age in the sense of not like, oh, how long is he going to be with my team, but age in the sense of like he's a young guy who still has room to improve. So I hope for a small step up this season as well.
Yeah, I just don't see that with Brock Purdy. I mean, we're only talking 3 spots here, so it's not like a big. I just have a hard time giving a guy that has literally been. The 49ers have the most talented offense around him. The 49ers have this. And again, we don't know the team around him. I mean, we could hypothetically put a team around him, and if we say, heck, he gets Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CMC, the Eagles offensive line, and George Kittle, hello, mascot beans. Sure, he might be a little bit higher there, but if he had to go on his back day in, day out, and then that injury history, which you could say the same thing about Dak. I just think Dak has been able to do more with lesser talent around him. And that was a big factor in some of my decisions as well.
Can you say Dak has done more with lesser talent around him? When you talk about earlier in the career, when he had a top 3 to 5 offensive line, he had 2 solid wide receivers and he had prime Zeke Elliott and still won 1 playoff game in his career?
I hear what you're saying on the offensive side. You could argue he should have won 2 if they would have been
If he
able
didn't
to
make a dumb decision and run up the middle and slide, because that's also on him.
I mean, that was the play call, and it was a good play call, and it would
Was
have
it?
worked. Yeah, it was a good play call. I have no issues with the play call, except they tried to snap it without, and the ref got in the way. Like, the ref stumbled on that play. Now, you could argue, don't let it be in the ref's hands, and I will listen to that debate as well. But you could argue that he would have won it. I mean, the same thing with Dak, though, is their defense has always been super high variance. They've always given up points. I mean, it's been if they're getting picks, they're good. But if not, it's been like they have DeMarcus Lawrence, or they have DeMarcus Ware, or they have Micah Parsons, maybe a linebacker, but not a much other talent. Like, they need they're very high variance on the cornerback. And Purdy's had one of the better defenses at all 3 levels of, or all 3 phases of the defense. So again, it's no hate on Purdy and Dak, and I just have Dak a little bit higher than you do. And I think there is some recency bias in this. And the injury concern I do get, he missed the end of last season. He missed some time 2 seasons ago. But 2 seasons ago, there was debate for Dak Prescott MVP candidate. Like, we're only 1 half season with the ended injury away from the Dak Prescott could have won MVP if Lamar Jackson didn't have a super rare, elite, incredible year, right? So he was right up there in that conversation. So that's why I give him the nod a little bit higher, and I'll tell you where he's at in a little bit.
All right. I mean, that's fine. We'll agree to disagree on that one. It's not like, unless you have him extremely high, I'm not going to really argue you too much. But the other person I think I want to touch on, and I know you have very similar to me, just because in my head, when I was going through this, I thought in my head he was going to be higher, and then he just kind of fell in here, was Kyler. Because like you said, how much he has that video game style and he can go out there and make every throw and use his legs and do so many things. I thought like that dynamic kind of thing would have played well in my head. And then when I started looking at some of these other guys, I'm like, but I'd really rather have him instead. And I think some of it probably is his lack of experience in the playoffs and the fact that he hasn't really had much of a chance. The injuries play in a little bit, but just some of the boneheaded plays too.
Yeah, and I think as we're like talking this out and unveiling it, because again, we did our ranking separate, you took actual playoff experience into account, and I looked more at the quarterback as a whole, the makeup, the build. You know, can his small stature hold up for the 18 games? Can he, carry his team over? If you give me a 1 game, like if I can get Kyler's best for 1 game, he might be top 5.
That's fair. Because you've seen it happen.
But his variance is so drastic that if I got to pick any quarterback, Kyler for me would be down at 17, 18 for you. So, and I think right in the middle of the pack is, a good spot for him.
It is. And I think we're starting now to get to the guys where it's like, I might have a shot if I have this guy on my team to make a Super Bowl run. It's not like the guys we had lower than this where it's like, I don't think I have a chance.
All right. So you want to start going 1 by 1, or maybe how do you want to, or you want to go 5 more? Let's get to the top 10.
Let's get to the top 10. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So 14, I have Baker Mayfield.
And I have Caleb Williams. So a little higher than you on Caleb Williams.
I have Jared Goff at 13.
And I have Bo Nix.
I have Dak Prescott at 12. So that's a 5 spot differential from you. You have him down at 17. I have him at 12.
Okay. And I have CJ Stroud at 12.
Then I have Aaron Rodgers at 11.
And I have Jordan Love down here at 11.
And I have CJ Stroud at 10. There's
okay. Okay.
I didn't know.
And then I've got Justin Herbert at 10. So we'll just go with that.
All right. You're too low on Love, but that's besides the.
And you're too high on Rodgers, but I'm not shocked by that looking at your background.
Okay. So I knew I was going to get called out for this.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is still one of the best throwers of the football. And I've said from the time we started at 32, intangibles mean a lot to me. And we get there's no age, there's no conditions. I'm not taking into account ayahuasca retreats, darkness episodes in the offseason. That doesn't matter. It is this guy is all in playing this year. He wants to do Pat McAfee, fine. I don't care about that. But like people act like he had such a down year last year. And for his standards, and I emphasize his standards, it was a down year. But he threw for just under 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, like on a pretty bad Jets team. Honest, you could argue, well, he built like that was his guy, so he got to play with his buddies, whatever. But he's still one of the best throwers of the ball. And yes, we're not taking into age in terms of longevity. I have him down here at 11 because he will be 41. And I understand there's some frailness that potentially could, come up. But that was a 40-year-old quarterback 1 year off of a Achilles injury, still throwing for almost 4,000 yards. A guy that's done it, has the experience of, making some runs. Obviously, he has not had the most success as of late. He is very good at getting to the NFC Championship and losing. I understand that based on what is happening on the background. Maybe that's another reason he's down at 11. But I think with a solid team around him and a defense, which in our situation, it's just a balanced team. So who knows how good the defense is? Aaron Rodgers would be a good quarterback to have for a 1 year run, which is why I think there was all that buzz around a team like Minnesota this offseason. They debated, is it worth going all in 1 year with a guy like Aaron Rodgers or go for the rookie? They opted to go for the rookie as of now, but Aaron Rodgers is still unsigned. And again, we're assuming him to be the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that'll happen. But yeah, so I definitely understand that I am higher on him than most people. I get it. There is probably some fan bias into him, but in terms of throwers of the football, I don't know if there's 5 better in the NFL.
And age doesn't come into consideration, yes. But age comes into consideration of like, will the 41-year-old body hold up? Will the 41-year-old see some regression? And if you would have asked me to do this exercise 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Rodgers would have been in my top 3 to 5, no problem. But seeing it now, you can say he was on a bad Jets team. He was definitely on a bad Jets team with a horrible defense. But like, there were even times where that offense struggled to score a touchdown for 2-3 consecutive weeks, and he had Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and Breece Hall around him. Yeah, you can say maybe the offensive line wasn't fantastic, but it's not like it was a barren team on offense. And like, yeah, some games, all of a sudden he went off. And it's like, that was the Aaron Rodgers we wanted to see the entire season. But the inconsistency was there at his age. Add another year onto that at 41 years old. I'm just not
How much of that
confident.
I understand. I mean, he's still outside the top 10, so let's not act like I'm super confident.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of the inconsistency was early in the season versus later in the season as he started to regain mobility? Even like week 1 when he was out there and he could barely move because he was still recovering from that Achilles injury. And as he got more strength and more confidence, you start to see him. You saw the Jets versus Jaguars game at the end of life where he was slinging it all over the place. And again, I mean, I said the same thing about Kyler Murray. Give me 1 game of him. Give me 1 game of Aaron Rodgers at his peak. You give me Aaron Rodgers' best game, he's number 1. And obviously, some people might argue that. I obviously have green and gold behind me.
One's a little bit bullish, but it's definitely top 5. If it's talking 1 game at his best, yeah.
It's 1 or 2 of the current players.
Okay. We're having another debate later now. On okay, 1 game best, who you got? Sure.
1 game best of current players. Like prime Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback still playing. If you want to make the argument for Patrick Mahomes' best game, I'll listen to it because those guys will go down as top 10 quarterbacks all time. I don't think Allen or much as I like Josh Allen, much as I like Lamar Jackson, much as I like Joe Burrow and anyone else, I don't know if they're going down as top 10 quarterbacks of all time. But that's off my Aaron Rodgers horse for now. Dak Prescott, I think I defended him enough.
Yep.
Earlier. Baker, I have him at 14. Give him a little bit higher. We'll talk about that. I
Same with
wanted to make him. Yeah, Goff is very similar to Purdy for me. So the fact that he is 5 spots higher, that's good enough reasoning for Jared Goff. But Baker, I wanted to make him higher so much.
Mm-hmm.
And every time because when you watch Baker, he plays with fire and passion and grit and intensity that you love. Man, I would play for that guy. Then you remember he also led the league in interceptions. And then you're like, but then look at that playoff game against the Commanders where he almost brought them back. And then the Commanders go out the next week and blow out the Lions. And again, that's some recency bias. I get that. Mm-hmm. So I think Baker is the guy that I wanted to put higher, but I just, at the end of the day, the inconsistency put me down at 14. Not a bad spot. But that's what my thoughts on Baker.
No. I mean, do you want to reveal the next few so we can continue an argument here?
Sure.
Okay, so let's go next two. Number 9, I have Baker.
And at number 8, I have Jordan Love.
Yeah. You have Herbert at 9. You have Love at 8, and I have Goff at 8. So, no, you're good. Let's make sure everyone listening knew this. So you have Goff, Baker in the same order as me, but you're down at 13, 14. I'm up at 8, 9. So to defend Baker, like, there's experience there because he's been around for a while. You can say, like, yeah, I've been favoring playoff experience in some cases, but I can argue everybody above him on this list has more playoff experience or more playoff success. And then everyone below it doesn't have that much, except for I think Purdy and Rodgers are the two guys that you can say below him that have more playoff success. But I have reasons for putting Purdy and Rodgers lower. I've already talked about Rodgers with, like, I don't know if he's going to hold up. And Purdy doesn't really blow me away when it comes to being, you know, a pure quarterback. I think he is a lot based on the system, but I gave him some props for putting him at 15. Baker hasn't gone on the deep playoff run, but compared to everyone I have below him, he's got experience. He's got those intangibles. He does make some of those boneheaded plays. I won't argue with you there, but I think his locker room presence rivals someone of like a Nick Foles during the Eagles playoff run to win the Super Bowl. Like, guys want to play for him. Guys play better for him. And I think that's something to be said.
For 18 games, though? For a whole season plus playoffs?
We've seen his resurgence in Tampa Bay has made a pretty big difference. I don't know if that Tampa Bay team is a solid contender without Baker.
Are they a solid contender, or do they get in because they are playing in a bad division that's 8-9?
They're still a winning team every single year, and they've won a playoff game each of the last 2 years.
They didn't win a playoff game this year. They lost the Commanders.
You're right. They did not. My bad. They did almost win a playoff game this year. They won a playoff game 2 years ago.
Yeah, they beat your Eagles.
Yeah.
When that team had fallen apart. But like I said, I love Baker. I wanted to put him higher. I just couldn't do it. I think, you know, he is he's an ultimate gunslinger, and you get the good, you get the bad, and there's some other, like, he's the guy that's going to run. If his helmet gets ripped off, he'll still run and, you know, take a tackle, right? Like, I love that about Baker. I just don't know if I trust him. You have Goff higher. You have him at 8. Yeah. I have him at 13. This is always
so Goff runs even deeper. I know you always seem to be the person that tries to knock Goff off his pedestal, and I've been kind of with you, especially when we had all of the Goff versus Stafford debates with Tyler back in the earlier times of this podcast. And Tyler, feel free to hop on and go, you know, talk about how Cody undermines Goff yet again. But this runs even deeper than Baker does, because you can say how, like, Goff hasn't been able to make that deep playoff run lately. Goff was in a Super Bowl. He has completely turned around a franchise that has been absolutely barren for decades. And even when you thought that, like, oh, he's an average quarterback, he goes out there and he has balled out. He has completely found a renaissance from when he was in LA, still finding a way to get to that Super Bowl, to now when you can say, yeah, coaching helps, but he doesn't have like a quarterback whisperer head coach anymore. And he's still going out there and making plays week in and week out.
I mean, the way the schedule came out, they would tell you that Ben Johnson was a quarterback whisperer. That's not even my debate with Jared Goff. What does Jared Goff do better than Brock Purdy? What does he do better than Brock Purdy, who you have all the way down at 15? What makes Jared Goff 7 spots higher than Brock Purdy?
I think Jared Goff is a better athlete than Brock Purdy.
I would disagree.
Okay.
What does Jared Goff do? Like, that's my, like, it always sounds like I'm such a Jared Goff hater. I think he plays his system very well. When it is play action, 3-step drop, hit and throw, right? Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, very similar players, can put up elite passing numbers when everything goes right around them. But when it doesn't, everything starts to crumble. That's always been my argument between Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, was what happens when it's not perfect. And there's a lot of quarterbacks on this list. It is not just a Jared Goff thing. I just feel like he always gets the blunt end of this for unnecessary reasons. And I apologize, Jared. What happens when things go wrong? You could say the same thing. Maybe Baker, we both have lower, would answer that question better. If things aren't right around him, can Baker make more plays? Can Jared Goff make plays? Look, you have Goff at 8. I have him at 13. We're 5 spots different. My whole thing is just been what is the one elite trait Jared Goff has?
And elite trait, maybe he doesn't have one elite trait, but I feel like everyone below him isn't elite either. And then when you look at it, who has the most success out of the guys that I have in this, say, like tier? Goff has not only the most experience, but I think he has the most success out of those guys as well. Comparing him to Baker, Herbert, Love, Stroud, Nix. A lot of young guys in there, and a lot of guys who maybe have been starters for a few years, but have maybe not done well when the lights have come on, or just don't have the track record yet, which is like Love, who I think is going to eventually be a guy who could move up my list. But as of now, I just don't have him there yet.
Yeah, I hear you with everything that you're saying about Goff. And I, even before, the show, I talked about how I started mine in tiers, and you could convince me with the tiers, and Goff is in one of those tiers that he might have been at the bottom. If you want me to convince me to the top, maybe I'll listen. But you brought up Jordan Love. And again, it is very hard for me to talk about this without seeing like a homer. And some of that is I've just got to watch him a lot. I think there's some recency bias because of the knee injury that he suffered last year that limited his mobility, that then turned into a groin injury, then turned into a thumb injury. So he went through 3 different injuries last year. And maybe I'm holding my hat too high on the run at the end of his first year of starting. Get that. If you think, but for me, he at least has elite arm strength. He has underrated athleticism. He's more of a straight line guy. He's not the agility guy, but he has some that, maybe athleticism isn't the right word, but like playing quarterback like a shortstop, he has all the arm angles, right? It doesn't have to be the same form, which can also get him in trouble. And he can make some bad throws or trust his arm too much. That's the part of a, new quarterback. If you wanted to, same with Herbert. Herbert has all the intangibles in the world, the big arm, the underrated athleticism, all the angles, the body, the size. Does lack some playoff experience. I didn't take that into too much of account. And those two, they could have been swapped for me. And I just think in terms of upside and players I enjoy watching, which is probably not how I should have looked at this in any way, shape, or form. But and it's not great. I mean, because if it's players I enjoy watching, which is another list we could do lists for days. Baker would be way up there. Baker would be way
Baker would be way up there. Yeah. And I mean, mine wasn't intentionally players I enjoy watching, but I feel like I end up enjoying watching Baker and Goff more than I have Herbert and Love, at least recently. And like
You
I
did not.
said, I don't
Nope.
want you to.
Nope. There's no way you enjoy watching Jared Goff over Justin Herbert. No way.
I'm a Chargers fan. I don't know what you're talking about. You need to get that. You need to get that out of here.
There's no way. I call malarkey on all that. What am I, an 80-year-old? Let's get back on track.
Try to make an argument here and then say malarkey.
I know. I'm sorry. Interesting. I think I did like that we both kind of settled down on CJ Stroud. You had him at 12. I had him at 10. So
because the intangibles or that, like the ability to be a quarterback is there, but I think he was very inflated after his first year. And now we kind of saw like the sophomore slump. Maybe he's settling into where he's going to be. I would feel like I have a shot with him, but he's definitely not in the elite tier.
Yeah. And I do. And again, I know our situation is any team, there's no specific team. I think there's some of these guys, whether that's like, I don't know if I want, like, if it's a certain system, I probably would end up taking a guy like Jared Goff over a Jordan Love or a Justin Herbert, right? Like if I had more pieces or a more structured system, there's not as much go make a play for me. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like in that situation where, again, I need the ball out on time and I need to go to the right place, that's where I might go with a guy like Jared Goff. But because of those intangibles and those X factor wow throws, not enough. I saw that one throw from Anthony Richardson. I wasn't even making him the starter. So I'm not all intangibles, okay? But literally for me, I think I told you this, from 7 to, which we haven't even said number 7 yet, 7 to 13, those could all be in any order for me. Okay. Some of the golf stuff was for the show. Content creation.
Well, of course, yeah. You don't spill our secrets, Cody.
Hey, we're 37 minutes in. If you made it this far, you get to hear a little bit about the secrets.
Okay, cool. I got it. Do you want to mention number 7 since you talked about it?
Yeah, this one was the toughest person to place for me.
Okay. Who do you got?
Jayden Daniels.
Okay. And I got Matt Stafford, which it's funny. I didn't intentionally put Matt Stafford one spot above Jared Goff after all of our arguments on this show, but it just kind of happened that way.
Yeah. I mean, Jayden for me is
still having problems, Cody. Anyway, so Daniels is interesting for sure. I think you're back. No, you're not.
Take 3. Let's see if this makes the final episode. If it does, give us a like and follow for the hard work that has gone into making this. But technical difficulties had allowed.
Yes, they have, Cody. Yes, they have.
All right, so minor technical difficulties. I think we're back. I was talking about Jayden Daniels at number 7 for me being one of the hardest ones to pick because I didn't know how much stock to put in to his rookie season. Mm-hmm. What he did for the Commanders, how he carried them to the NFC Championship game, the difference he made, the intangibles, the skill set, the running ability, the arm, like it was the whole package. And that's kind of what this whole exercise is about. What quarterback is the whole package? And if it was just based on how they did last year, I feel like he would be higher. But I think there's other guys I like more. So I put him at 7. And then for me, I think is the next clear tier.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate putting him at 7. Obviously, I haven't said his name yet, so I have him even higher. But yeah, it's like the whole package thing. I was really skeptical as I kept like moving him up my board because I was like, do I want to overreact on him similar to how I did Stroud? So I tried to kind of look back and like what did he do that Stroud didn't? Number one on the board is his mobility. Like, that adds just another level on top of what Stroud has. But number two, like, I can even say he was an even better thrower of the football. He was even better at reading defenses than Stroud was in his rookie year. And that's nothing against how Stroud played, but it seemed like he picked things up so easily. And I can see him playing in so many different kinds of offenses that I really think he deserved a spot in the top 7.
Yeah. And I agree. I think how he performed, I would just understand if people thought it was an overreaction based off of 1 year. But I think based on the play, my eyes, it was justified for the ranking, and you like him more. So obviously we're on the same page there. You ready to do number 6?
Sure.
All right. Number 6. I have Jalen Hurts.
And I have Jayden Daniels. So not much different there on Daniels. You have Hurts there. But I can't help but notice, and I don't know if you just want to name number 5 here off the bat or not, that there's somebody that you haven't said yet that I have, and it blows my mind that you have Daniels and Hurts under him.
You mean Matt Stafford, who's my number 5?
I mean Matt Stafford, who's your number 5. I have Jalen Hurts at number 5. And I have the uphill battle of trying to argue Hurts at number 5, being the Eagles fan, and you're just going to call Homer.
No. Look, I'll be honest with you. Before last season, I don't know if Hurts would have been in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up from 6 to 6 is very high. Like, that would be really interesting. And maybe we'll do this again next year and look back at where our rankings are and see how much the change over time. And literally, it's all leadership for Hurts for me. That made him move 4 or 5 spots. I mean, I like Daniels. I like Love. I like Herbert. Maybe even Stroud more as a passer, as a true passer.
Yeah.
If they take out the tush push, I mean, how much does that affect him? I think he's still a solid runner. I don't think he's an elite runner. Like, I think Daniels is a better runner than him. I think obviously Lamar's a better runner than him. I think there's some other guys that he would be equivalent to. But literally, it's the leadership, the aura, however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts brings something to a football team that can't be coached. That's his elite trait. And so if you want to put him at 5, I don't hate it. I don't blame you at all. Like, I completely get it. I put Stafford at 5 because I think Stafford, and this is where people will disagree with me, and that's okay. This is where I think Stafford is one of the best throwers of the football. He has that same aura that Baker Mayfield has about putting his body out on the line for you. He, has elevated players around him. I know people will knock him down for having Sean McVay, but he took the Rams to a Super Bowl. He got them over the hump. He literally did the basics of this exercise. He took a quarterback, a solid team, and took them over the hump to the Super Bowl. That's what Matt Stafford did. And he's another guy. If you get best game, best Stafford, he's top 3, top 5 all day. I think he performs there a lot more consistently than some people do. And if you wanted to switch him with Hurts, if you wanted to switch him with Daniels like you did, I don't think we're that far off. Like, for me, the gap from 5 to 7 is not as wide as the gap from 5 to 4. So, but that's for me. I think
it's a pretty good tier if you want to consider like 5 to 7 a tier.
I'm fine with that.
That's
and then we have
fine.
the same 3 players.
And we have the same 3 players too, which is fine. I prefer a lot of the different things that Hurts and Daniels can do to keep defenses on their toes as opposed to just Stafford. I think those two can get you out of more jams than Stafford can. If you're telling me you have to go out there and play from behind, I might lean Stafford. That's fine. But then there's still some leadership abilities that Hurts has, and there's still a lot of good things that Daniels can do. And then like we have said before, age isn't a factor, but it is still a factor We've seen him start to break down. I still think he can handle it for this long, obvious by the fact that I have him in my top 7. But I think I would rather take the young quarterback or the more dynamic quarterback instead of Stafford. It's funny because I was almost ready to debate you on the opposite on this of like, I thought I had Stafford very high at 7, and I was going to argue why I had him so high. And you almost threw me off by having him up at 5, that like, it's hard for me to now argue it.
No, and again, we're very similar. Like I said, the Hurts, Daniels, Stafford. I'll throw Love in there. You won't, but that's a different conversation.
No.
I don't even think I wouldn't do that at this moment. I think there's potential. Again, we'll do this exercise next year.
Next year, if there's some success out of Love next year, yeah, I would debate putting him in this tier. I'm with you, but he's not there for me yet.
So the Stafford thing for me, and I'm glad you brought up health, because I think that is definitely a valued argument to drop him down, and something I probably should have considered more then, because to me, Stafford is like the ultimate intangibles guy. Like if you could build a quarterback outside of like rushing ability, like I think Stafford's the mold of the quarterback. Like that's
plus there's enough experience there too that like, could you argue maybe because of experience, he's one of the smartest quarterbacks left in the league right now? Probably.
Yeah. Like I think there's that into it. And that's why I think if you get 1 year that's why the 1 year aspect played, because if it was give me a quarterback for the next 5 years, Stafford down at 16.
Yeah, because at that point you're like, man, those first 2 years could be fantastic, but those last 3 are probably not.
Yeah. And he did earn my respect. I know they didn't win the game, but there was always the knock about the cold weather and the way they came out and played and battled back against Philly. Maybe that's some recency bias why I had him up there. Maybe you should just be like, well, Hurts beat him head to head, so put Hurts there. And if you want to make that argument, okay, I'll listen to that too. Like I said, I'll switch 5 through 7 in any order that you want. But I'm just happy to see that we both at least respect or understand how good Stafford is, because I don't think I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just remember, oh, Stafford was the guy in Detroit. He had some good games, but he also had Megatron, but they didn't win any games. Like,
yeah.
So I like it. But you ready to knock out these top 4? And I think we can just say them all at once because it's fine. The same 4. We're just going to pick back and forth in the order. So at number 4, I have Joe Burrow.
And I also have Joe Burrow.
And I think he's a clear 4 for what that's worth. Then at number 3, I have Josh Allen.
And I have Lamar Jackson.
Number 2, I have Lamar Jackson.
And I have Josh Allen.
And then number 1, we still have Patrick Mahomes.
We do. Mahomes has had too much success to get knocked off of the 1 spot for me. I think we can just start there. I don't think it's much of an argument. There's going to be people in the comments arguing probably based on recency bias, if I had to guess. But I don't see any reason why everything that Mahomes brings to the table, plus he would also probably be up there in arguments of smartest quarterbacks left in the league right now, that he doesn't deserve to be number 1.
And I know the defense helped carry them, so I feel like the answer might be more quarterbacks than I think. So, but how many more quarterbacks on this list could have got aging, declining Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Noah Gray, and aging DeAndre Hopkins with poor offensive tackles to the Super Bowl?
And I mean, I think there's a good way that you could be like, I can argue the top 7 had a chance, but Mahomes gives you the best chance.
So in the Chiefs situation with Andy Reid and the defense that they had, yes, I would agree with that.
So that Chiefs offense that you just mentioned, I don't even want to say Bengals defense. That's an over-exaggeration because they were historically awful. Give them the Commanders defense. They were solid, but they were opportunistic, yet not absolutely blow you away.
Yeah, I feel like it might just be Mahomes gets you to the Super Bowl. Maybe Allen or Jackson.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I
Joe
think
Burrow?
this season Burrow could have done it. I would want to throw Hurts an argument because of how he raises people up, but at the same time, I could understand you cutting it off before Burrow or after Burrow.
Yeah. I mean, the Hurts thing, he will not that I want to go backwards. He will always have the leadership's incredible. But how does he look without elite players around him on offense? And I think that's the next hump for him to move into the top two, not two category is what happens if they trade AJ Brown in training camp out of nowhere, right?
Mhm.
Saquon, knock on wood, all the Eagles fans, I hope you can hear that, me knocking, gets banged up and doesn't play an elite season. Like, how does the team look then? We're talking about him now. We talk about the collapse that team had 2 years ago, right? He was there for that too. So that's some of the stuff. And heck, Joe Burrow didn't even make the playoffs last year. His defense was terrible. That's why it's so hard to rank these quarterbacks, because it's a team sport.
Yeah.
But some of these help elevate these other players. And that's why we have Mahomes, number one. I feel like on the surface, there might be a debate, but if we really get down to it, the Jackson Allen, I feel like they're pretty close. I struggled with which one to put where.
I did too. They're very interchangeable. Honestly, the thing that put me over the top was Lamar's turnovers in key games. And not all of it's been him. He's had some meltdowns around him as well, but he's been more turnover prone in key games than Allen has. That's the only thing that put Allen above him, but they're very interchangeable in my head.
Yeah, I thought maybe I'll go MVP, but then I was like, well, I think Jackson actually had a better season. The reason I went Jackson slightly, and I mean ever so slightly over Josh Allen, was I think he's slightly a better runner.
I would agree that Jackson's a better runner than Allen.
And like more loose, can do more on the ground. Mm-hmm. And that difference is not quite like, and no one would argue that Josh Allen's a better passer. I'm not arguing that. But I think Lamar Jackson is a much better passer than people give him credit for. Like, I think people that call him a running back are, I don't know what word to say that's clean on a podcast, but out of your mind. Like, he is a legit, very good.
A bunch of malarkey.
Malarkey. Thank you. Bring that back. Lamar Jackson is a very good passer of the football.
If anybody wanted to argue Jackson wasn't in the top four, that's absolutely insane. And if anybody wants to see how good of a passer Lamar Jackson is, look at highlights of him from his rookie year versus now. Even he was still a solid passer of the ball then, but he was really getting no credit. But even in the last 5 years, since I've now, been with and married a Ravens fan and watched a lot of their games, I've seen so much improvement out of Lamar Jackson passing the ball that it almost surprises me.
And he is still young in terms of age. Not that that's for this debate, but this is just projecting forward. He arguably should have been a three-time MVP at his age already. Like, you don't just luck into that at all. So that's why I gave the slightest edge to Lamar. But Josh Allen, he's carried the Buffalo Bills now, and you see he just hasn't been able to get quite over that hump. But I don't know if in his situation, I don't know if Allen or Mahomes does much different on Buffalo in our hypothetical world. Maybe Mahomes beats Allen once, right? Maybe, or something. Maybe Allen doesn't come back from 13 seconds down. I don't know. And so then Mahomes would have quote unquote won the game if you switch them in our hypothetical world. Like, maybe he does it once. Who knows? But those three are the clear top. And then Joe Burrow is just Joe Cool. He's just so the fact that the Bengals even had a hope giving up for like what felt like 40 points a game. I know it wasn't quite that bad, but they stood a chance. They fought back. He does have some injury concerns. He struggled to stay healthy as well. Same with Matt Stafford. I don't think he's played a ton of games either. So fun little exercise. George, why don't you recap your 1 through 32, or at least your top 10?
I'll recap my top 10. So we'll go 1 to 10. Mahomes at the top at number 1, Allen number 2, Lamar Jackson number 3, Burrow at 4, Jalen Hurts at 5, Jayden Daniels at 6, Matt Stafford at 7, Jared Goff at 8, Baker Mayfield at 9, and Justin Herbert at 10.
Then I'm going with Mahomes at 1, Lamar Jackson at 2, Josh Allen at 3, Joe Burrow at 4, Matt Stafford at 5A, Jalen Hurts at 5B, aka 6.
Okay.
Jayden Daniels at 7, Toyota Thon Love at 8, Justin Herbert at 9, and then CJ Stroud at 10.
Make sure you guys let us know in the comments what I got right and what Cody got wrong. But really, if there's anything that you think we got wrong, we'd love to debate you in the comments, and we'll make sure that we post our rankings on our social media pages. Give us a follow, Facebook, X, Instagram, and we'll even throw them on TikTok. And would love to have some debates with you guys in the comments.
Definitely. Like I said, we would have loved to have done this show live, but George is chilling on the beach. How do you can get more involved at the Couch GMs on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok. Debate some quarterbacks. Remember, it was a 1 year only. If this was for fantasy or for longevity, this list would be completely different. And maybe we'll do one of those lists down the line. If you want to see any other debate, feel free to let us know. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kurtz, and we'll talk to you all next week.